Hello, everyone, and welcome to KetoKindred's. This is our first Facebook Live post. My name is Jeremy, and this is Mike.
Hey, I would like to introduce. Yeah, I'm going to introduce you, Tony. This is a good friend of mine, a colleague. We worked together for about a year and a half, I guess, Tony, and that's how I came to know Tony, and Tony's been an inspiration for me in the low carb lifestyle and the keto diet. And I really just wanted to bring you on here today, Tony, because you're so educated and you've been so successful in your journey. I'm just super happy to have you here, and we'd love to ask a bunch of questions of you.
Sure. I'll try to answer them, as best I can. Just to let everyone know, I am not a doctor, but I've come to learn more than they do about nutrition. 48 years old, was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. October 12th, 2012 was the exact day that I was diagnosed. And what they told me was, you have diabetes, here, take these, and handed me some pills. That's all I got. So I lived with that for 6 years. On May 18th, 2018, I woke up one morning and I went to go take my pills like I'm supposed to do, and I didn't have any because I forgot to fill them. I'm like, what do I do? So I went online and I started searching. I'm like, there has to be a different way. I can't do this for the rest of my life. So I started researching and looking into, not the bro science, just some random dude on the internet. I went to the doctors who then pointed you to the research. So I went from the doctors that were talking about it and then went and actually looked at the research. And I'll tell you something about research. I had my laptop and a dictionary because some of the words I've never heard before in my life, and I had to learn all this stuff.
So when did you start the ketogenic diet or lifestyle, I guess you could say?
I started it exactly on May 18th, 2018, on that day.
2018.
Yes. And I jumped right into it, which is kind of hard to do.
So, what does that mean? Like, take everyone through kind of your journey, starting that and your numbers and, and how you felt. And
well, it started out that before I was diagnosed, probably I'd say about 6 months before the diagnosis of type 2 diabetes, I was having when they say you have frequent urination, you have very, very frequent urination. And I was always thirsty. I couldn't drink enough water to quench my thirst. It's like you've been walking through a desert and your mouth is completely dry, but you're drinking water because it's just sucking the water out of you to flush yourself out. And in my case, I lost some weight. So I went to the doctor and he says, your A1C is 15.8. My average glucose per day was 389. That's close to being dead. And it's been like that for years. See, the thing is with diabetes is you can have it 10 years before your pancreas finally says, I give up. I can't produce enough insulin to push all that sugar down anymore. So that's what happened to me. I probably had, and when I looked back even farther, because I track it all, but I wasn't necessarily tracking it. It's just that they tracked it, but I never really looked. So I went back and looked at years before that, and actually a good 8 years before that, my A1C was above diabetic. So, but I didn't know it, and nobody told me.
Yeah, your doctor
didn't tell me. No, they didn't tell me.
And Tony, your doctors didn't even tell you about the ketogenic diet. All they were doing at the time. I know you have a different physician now, and I know you've been through several because of the ketogenic diet and the lifestyle. But the doctor you had at the time didn't tell you about the ketogenic diet. You found that on your own, and they were just pushing pills. Essentially.
Yeah, I call it the great cover-up. That's what they want you to do, and that has a double meaning. Okay, they tell you eat this, and cover that up with these pills. And that's what the American Diabetes Association tells you. They tell you to eat 150 grams of carbs a day.
Yeah,
I mean,
the dietary guidelines.
If you're a diabetic, yes, if you're a diabetic, you are carb intolerant. You cannot process. Okay, so, but on the other part of the great cover up is they don't tell you because they don't know. It's not that they're bad or they're wanting to do stuff bad to you. They have their guidelines that they have to follow, but they're guidelines. Okay, it's not the law. But they get maybe a week of nutritional education in medical school. You ask any doctor. There's plenty of doctors. Ken Berry wrote a great book, The Lies My Doctors Told Me. He'll tell you he had to go back.
Actually,
yeah, he's
what are
a great
some sources and doctors that that you would suggest for people to follow?
Good one that I started following at first. Her name is Dr. Sarah Hallberg. She is at Indiana University, and she's the medical director of a company called Verta Health. And what they do is they use the very low carbohydrate diet or ketogenic diet for diabetics, and people go to them. It's all online, and they have studies that they've been doing now for, well, I think it's probably a good 7 to 8 years now of data of what your markers are, as far as your biomarkers for cholesterol and A1C and insulin resistant and inflammation markers. They track all those, and then they slowly bring people off their medications. If you're on any type of medication for diabetes and you want to do a ketogenic diet, I strongly suggest you discuss that with your doctor. Doctors are not very proficient, in my opinion, taking you off medication. Okay, they'll put you on it easily, but how you bring people down off of that, I had to tell my doctor, hey, I'm going to stop taking this. And so I stopped taking it, and then I started tracking everything. I had to ask for tests, the test that I want done. But I go to a different doctor, a functional medical doctor. If you can find one of those are the people to go to. They're
functional medical doctor, but I mean, does insurance cover?
Not all of them do. The one I go to, insurance will not cover it, but they look at the core. They look at what's causing it, not the symptoms. Because you're high blood sugar and you're all of that, and that's a symptom of something else going on, which is insulin resistance. And insulin is the master hormone in the body. It controls a lot of things, and it actually can interfere with a bunch of stuff. So right. I just told my doctors I'm not going to take this medicine anymore. And so on the May 18th is when I fired my first doctor and went to another doctor and told him what I was doing. He somewhat was kind of, it's not that he was, oh yeah, let's do it. He was kind of indifferent to what I was doing. It's more like, we'll see.
So Tony, do you want to tell the viewers a little bit about macros and what you eat? Like you personally, what you eat?
Yeah, what I've done and
how that's changed since you started.
Yes, it has changed.
Where you got today.
When I first started, I tracked all of, I've read the literature, and I kept those ratios with your fat at between 70 and 75, and then my carbs were under 20 grams net carbs.
Net grams or total grams?
The total. I didn't take off for fiber or anything like that in the carbs. And then the protein, I just the apps will tell you. You just put in your weight, and I actually have a scale that will give me my lean body mass, my water weight, and my fat. It breaks it because those three different things will bring back a different signal, so electronically, and so it calculates what your body fat percentage is, and that's where I get my protein at first. That's where I calculated my protein, just to keep lean body mass, to keep the carbs as low as possible. So I started out, Dr. Eric Berg, he's a chiropractor, and chiropractors are awesome. Uh-oh, did I lose you?
No.
Okay, my screen went blank. I don't know why. But so Dr. Berg, I started reading his research, not his research, but what he was doing with his patients. And so I was eating a bunch of salads and a bunch of fat, eggs, bacon, fish, adding olive oil. I got rid of all the seed oils in my house for me. Now, my family, they don't eat like I do. And I don't push anything on anyone that if they don't want to do it, that's fine. They don't have to do it.
Is it tough to have like Oreos in your house or Doritos in your house? Or
at first it was. It really was. First couple of weeks, it was. Yeah,
we might have lost you for a second.
You're muted.
You're muted, I think.
There you go.
There you go.
Am I back?
Yep.
I think it's the flies outside landing on my keyboard. So I was eating a bunch of salads, a lot of salads, and after a while, so I got it. Going back on your deal about the cookies and stuff, yeah, it was hard because I just jumped right into it and stopped eating carbs.
Yeah. How long does it take for that to go away? Because I still don't have that problem solved.
Well, it took me about, I think it took a good 2.5 weeks for that craving to go away. Of course, I was about 80 to 100 pounds overweight. So, and more than likely had fatty liver disease. And it just takes a little longer because I had so much carbohydrates in me there. And trust me, it's everywhere. And I had to get rid of that. So I got down to where I was, in ketosis. Mike and I checked it the other day, and I haven't checked it in a long time. And I was like at 1.5. I think it was, Mike. 1.7.
I think it was 1.7.
Yeah, and like today, I only ate once. I was at the range today, and I didn't even eat breakfast because I wasn't hungry. That's the deal I had to learn to do too, is know your body. Because people think, well, how will I know when I'm not hungry? Trust me, you'll actually figure it out. Your body will tell you.
Well, that's another thing that a lot of people talk about, and I struggle with too. It's like, maybe I'm not hungry, but do I even know what hungry is? Or is it more, emotional eating? Or I think I'm supposed to eat at lunch, so I'm going to eat lunch, even though maybe I'm not hungry. Like, I'm not sure that I've got that part figured out yet of that.
What helped me figure that out for me was doing intermittent fasting, because that told my body that, okay, now I know I haven't eaten in 18 hours. So I would start with something, have a cup of coffee for breakfast, and wouldn't eat until like 11 o'clock in the afternoon, and then again at 6, and then I'd start all over again. And after, the best way to do that, and for me, and I think a lot of people, is get away from the carbs first.
Yeah.
If you really want to get into intermittent fasting, because not that it won't work, it'll just make it a lot easier to do. Trust me.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's key that you eat a lot of high fat.
Yes,
the fat keeps you full. So I think having that fat content.
And we were just talking about how we weren't raised like that. So in our brains, that's kind of off. And I even find myself still, like, Mike will eat bacon, eggs, hot link, steak for lunch, for example. I still find myself eating, for the most part, I eat a salad every day. But, even vegetables have carbs. And, I find myself kind of running away from fat a little bit. And I think it's just so ingrained in us because how we were raised.
I actually, when I was growing up, I would not eat fat, like fat on the steak, or I would actually not eat that. And I've actually grown to really enjoy that. Like, when we get bacon now, I purposely buy ends and pieces.
Have you had those, Tony? The ends and pieces?
Yeah, big old bag of it. And look, I get a box. It comes in a big box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy it now. So my routine in the morning is basically several cups of coffee. I'll put MCT oil in it. I'll even put I'll put a little bit of coconut oil in my coffee as well. And I won't eat lunch until 11 or 12. And honestly, at that point, I'm not even hungry. Generally, I eat lunch because my colleagues are eating lunch. So I try to.
That's a good point, Mike. That's a good point. And people think, well, oh my gosh, I can't go do anything with anybody. Well, you can. I feel that we eat out less now because I like to know what's in my food now. Before I didn't really care.
Right.
I just eat it. Didn't care. And a lot of the food that I eat does not have a barcode on it.
I mean, is there anything that you miss, or do you kind of feel like
it's unreal? I don't miss.
That's great.
I don't miss sweets, even fake, artificial sweeteners. I can eat like the chocolate chips you guys gave me, that bag of chocolate chips. I think it was it Lily's?
We made some peanut butter cookies today and put those chocolate chips on the peanut butter cookies.
Oh,
by the way.
Those chocolate chips are good, but I ate a couple of them, and that's all I could eat because it was so it was unimaginably sweet to me.
Yeah.
So and I could tell when there's sugar in the food I'm eating.
Oh wow!
Because I could feel it in my body.
Yeah.
What's amazing to me is I grew up in the convenience store grabbing the candy bars and the pops and the chips and everything that's bad for you, and I don't crave those things now. I will tell you that I don't have a sugar craving, but I still love desserts.
It's like in your head.
Yeah, I love desserts, and Jeremy makes the best desserts. I mean, the peanut butter cookies that she makes that are keto, they're out of this world.
I mean, you can almost find anything now that you're craving a keto recipe for, even if it's
just remove the sugar. Remove the sugar and the grains, and you can make it keto.
Yeah, and there's so many artificial sweeteners.
Yeah, that lasagna you made the other night that I ate, I took home. I ate it as soon as I got home too, Mike.
So we posted that lasagna on Facebook on our KetoKindred's page, and I raved about it. I said it was good, but tell us what you thought about it.
Oh, it was awesome. I didn't know it was going to be spicy, so I added a bunch of hot pepper flakes because I add spice to everything. Mike, you know that you've eaten lunch with me. I put hot sauce on everything. Oh yeah, it was awesome.
Oklahoma.
It was awesome. I carried some Pete's, Texas Pete.
Yeah.
Around with me. But yeah, it was awesome. I thought it was really good. It really was.
Well, we just cook with whatever's kind of in the refrigerator, and we had some. What was spicy? What you tasted was we put. We had a little bit of ghost pepper.
Cream cheese.
The ghost pepper mozzarella.
Ghost pepper cheese.
Yeah. So we put kind of a sprinkling in that, which is very, very hot. If you just eat it on its own, but
I tasted it before that. I tasted the spice, and then I added
more. Yeah, he adds more spice than I do, even though I like spicy. But
so Tony, the going back to the journey part. So I got rid of the sugars. My family still eats pretty much whatever they want. They've cut down. I've done some substitutes here and there to sneak things in, but I don't sit there and berate people when I'm not like that. You eat how you like to eat. I eat because I have my why on what I want to eat. What I do has nothing to do with willpower. I took willpower out of the equation by making things easier to do. A good book by a guy named B.J. Fogg. He's a professor. I want to say it's Cal State, but I may be wrong. But he wrote a book called Tiny Habits, and that really, really, really helped me break things down into smaller things. Because when something is very hard to do, you have almost zero motivation to do it. But when you drop if you bring the easy factor up and drop the difficult factor, you don't need that much motivation to do it because it's easy to do. People will do what's easy to do. And so when I was talking about jumping right into the ketogenic lifestyle, that's hard to do. That is really hard to do. I did it, and it was hard.
Yeah, especially when your cupboards are full of snacks that your teenage boys enjoy on a daily.
It was really hard. I mean, I had the withdrawals. They were actual, because the sugar will hit the same receptor in the brain as that pleasure receptor, and you crave it like a drug. You absolutely crave it, and there are people that are actually addicted to it. Dr. Robert Lutzig, I don't know if you've ever seen any of his videos, but he is a pediatric doctor, and he does a great presentation on high fructose corn syrup and sugar in general. So when the food guidelines came in 1977, I'm jumping around here, sorry. There was a guy, his last name was Yudkin. Yudkin said it's not fat causing heart disease, it's sugar. Well, the other guy was Ansel Keys. Ansel Keys did what's called the 7-country study. This is where all these food lines came from.
Right.
He did the 7-country study, but they come to find out he actually studied 22 countries and only picked 7 that matched his hypothesis. And it's still a hypothesis. If you look it up, it'll still say hypothesis. It's never been proven.
A lot of the keto blogs talk about Ansel Keys.
He's pretty much a villain to all the people. But another guy, his last name is Yudkin, Yudkun, I think, and he competed sort of for that. Hey, it's sugar that's causing the heart disease, and as it turns out, it is, because the sugar is what's causing the inflammation in your body, and when that inflammation, it inflames everywhere, especially your arteries, and when your arteries get inflamed, your cholesterol comes in and patches up all the spots that are bad. So it's like when they say cholesterol causes heart disease, it's like blaming the fireman for putting out the fire, or the cop for causing the crime that they're investigating.
Right. So how do you feel now compared to how you felt when you were diagnosed with diabetes?
Oh man,
like completely different.
I feel like I felt when I was around 21, 25 years old. I went from a size 42 waist to I'm at a 28 waist. So I dropped. That's the most expensive part of this whole thing, because I had to fly. I actually donated all my clothes is what I did. I had 0 clothes, none. Actually, I had to go steal clothes from my teenage son out of his closet.
That's a good problem to have, though.
Yeah.
And he's saying, "Dad, those are mine." I said, "I don't remember you having a job and buying these, but."
Right.
So,
if you're going to give the viewers just some tips on how to be successful with a low carb ketogenic diet or lifestyle, is what I like to refer to it as. What would some of your tips be?
First and foremost, don't listen, or try not to listen to people that tell you that'll never work. You need to do it exactly like this. We're all different. That's how we got into this mess in the first place. As far as obesity and diabetes and stuff, we thought that one thing fits all. It does not. So don't listen to those people that say you have to do it exactly like this. You need to track your stuff. I call them, they're like waypoints. Every person has their own set of waypoints. You track those waypoints like little keys. All those little biomarkers are keys, and for you, your own specific key. They're not geared towards anyone else. And you have to see what different things are doing to your body, not what they do to somebody else's body, but what they do. I mean, the science is there as far as when you produce ketones, you're burning fat and you're using fat for fuel. That's there. What you have to do to make it easier on yourself is ease into it. Like if you drink a lot of soda, cut that out for a week. Keep eating what you're eating. Cut out soda. Sustain that for a week. Jump on to the next thing. Maybe it's pasta. Cut that out.
Little bite-sized pieces to get them going.
Break it down like little tiny habits. There's a doctor, Dr. Boz. She talks about breaking it down into smaller pieces as far as cutting out one thing and then another, sustaining that. Say you cut out drinking soda, you make it to day 6 and you drink a soda. Guess what? You start all over again. You go another 7 days, and just basically cut things out and track it. If at first I really tracked it religiously. I mean, I weighed my food. I don't eat salads that much anymore because they kind of make my tummy hurt now. So I've kind of gone away from the salad. Now I feel a lot better. I eat a lot of jalapenos. I put jalapenos with everything. That's where my vegetables, and I'll eat other things, but I just don't eat a whole lot of salads anymore. But I think the key is to find a way to make it easier. Find someone that can make it easier for you. Find someone that will keep you accountable, that's doing the same thing, that's in your realm. Not someone, just a friend down the street, somebody that's doing the same thing you're doing. That's why it's like what you guys are doing is you're creating a community for people to connect to each other that are doing the same thing and to encourage each other. And that's a big part of it, because guess what? You're going to fail at some point during this. You're gonna fall off the wagon, so to speak, but you've got to know that you have someone there that you can talk to and say, hey, I kind of screwed up. I ate that chocolate cake. You got to have that person say, listen, let's just get back on it. You don't have to be with people or get mad at them.
Tony, that's one of the reasons that I like to refer to it as a lifestyle instead of a diet. Because, I mean, if you refer to it as a diet and you have a breakdown and you eat something that you shouldn't eat, it's almost like a failure. I mean, a lifestyle is, you know what? It depends on the why. Like,
it's exactly depending on the why.
If your why is because it's a medical necessity that you're on the ketogenic diet because you have epilepsy,
which is great for it. It's proven.
Yeah. So you can't get off. You're going to be strict, but that's not my why. My why is that I just want to be healthier and live a better life. So yeah, occasionally I get off of I get off track, and you and Jeremy, you just scoop me right back up and get me back on track. And I love the accountability piece. I think having some,
and y'all look great. Yeah. You look, I told you just the other day when I was in your office that you were looking good, and you're not shy about telling me, yeah, I kind of ate this or that. And have I ever said, Mike, you're an idiot, don't do that? No, I've never told that to anyone that I talked to.
That's a perfect example. We weren't planning on it, and we went to dinner, and we were just like, you know what, let's just have something that we want to eat tonight. And we had like coconut shrimp and like some flatbread, I mean, stuff like that. But with that monitor, we, out of curiosity the next morning, and we immediately got back on. As soon as that meal was over, we were back on.
Yeah.
And we tested our blood sugar the next morning. And I think mine was like, what, 109?
Yeah, I think 114. I think we both were 114.
Yeah, we were around there. I mean, and when we were, pretty strict keto. I mean, yeah, it was like 90 was so it didn't, I'm sure it went up after that meal, but it went back down, and then we just, continued. And then I try to eat that next day, if I do that, kind of like extra fat, and so I'll do like bacon and avocado, kind of how you eat anyway, and try to get back on, and that's it.
Yeah, what I do is a good way to get rid of that glucose that you ate the night before is to fast the next day.
Yeah, but then you're hungry because then you're out of ketosis because you've, so that's the
Dr. Mindy Pels, I believe her name is. I think I sent you a link to her before, Jeremy.
Yeah. She
goes into different stages of, she does a lot of groups on fasting, and fasting, I love it. If I don't eat, I don't worry about it because I don't actually feel hungry all the time. Yeah, I really don't.
place to be. I'm not there yet, but I know that I've done it a couple times where I fasted for, I want to say one time I fasted for 2.5 days. One time I fasted a little bit longer, like maybe 3. But it's all emotional for me. Like in my brain, it is that I'm not eating, but it's not physical. Cause I mean, I'm fat adapted by that point. I'm not hungry. I'm drinking water. But it's in my head.
Connection.
Yeah, it is. And another thing is when you get to that point where, okay, well, I'm going to cheat. I don't think that's a bad thing. Now, me personally, I don't eat sugar at all.
Yeah.
Because, my A1C, when, like I said, was diagnosed with 15.8. The last time I had it checked, it was at 5. My average glucose was 389 or somewhere around there, if I remember right. Now, when I wake up in the morning, it's about 85, and I'm supposedly diabetic. There's not a cure for it. I call it I'm in remission, or a diabetes survivor.
Yeah.
If people that aren't diabetic, they have different reasons, like you were saying, that people want to lose weight or they just want to feel, but they want that mental clarity that you get from it, because you do. You can actually feel that. You recognize that feeling, that clarity in your mind.
Sure. Yeah, I definitely tell the difference.
I think we have just a couple more minutes. I want to, I think Jeremy has maybe a couple quick follow-up questions, and then we'll just kind of say our last thoughts and then finish this up. Do you have?
I think we pretty much covered everything. I don't know, Tony, is there anything else? Thank you so much for joining us today, and you're a huge resource, and I appreciate that. So
yeah, I'm very thankful.
Thank you. Well, the one thing I would say is, and I tell this to people now, when you go into a doctor's office, there should be 2 experts on you in that room. If it turns out there's only one, it better be you. You better be the expert on you. I'm actually, to let y'all know, and I don't know if I mentioned this to Mike, but that's the title of a book I'm trying to start, is becoming the expert on you, and you have to go beyond your doctor, folks. You have to. Not saying that you're going to go out and do surgery on yourself, but you have to become your own scientist, your own nutritionist, your own researcher. You have to do those things and understand how your body works. They'll just tell you how to fix, whatever it is that's wrong with you. Here's a pill for it. That's my experience. Here's a pill for it. So you need to be the expert on you. If you're not, there's nobody else out there for you.
That's great advice for us and for everyone. So.
Well, we really appreciate you coming on. We wanted to introduce you to all of our viewers and everybody that's involved in KetoKindred's, because we'd love to have you back. And when we have you back, we want to talk to you about specific topics, like very narrow things, like fasting, intermittent fasting, or
the science behind it, because you're so, like you said, self-educated on the science piece, and just kind of what works for people, and questions that people have.
Yeah. If you'll track your stuff, if you'll track your biomarkers, you'll know what you're eating, whether it's working or not. And that's, you can't get away from that.
Yeah.
But after a while, then your body knows what you're eating, and then you can kind of go not track as heavily, is what I have found, really.
Well, for any of the viewers or anybody that would have any questions for Tony or anybody else that we're going to have on in the future, if you just drop a comment below this video, we'll be sure to at least touch on it the next time we do a Facebook Live video. Thanks for watching. Tony, thanks for spending your evening with us on a Friday night.
Thank you, Tony. It's always a pleasure.
Appreciate it.
All right, man. I hope you. Yeah. Hey, have a good night.
I will.
All right, we'll see you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Dinner, so I'm good for the rest of the night.
All right. Bye, everyone.
See you guys.